You got to be prepared. You can't like go into this and not know your policy or not know where you stand on various issues, because Donald Trump is going to like just chew you up and spit you out pretty darn fast. He knows where he stands. And Jim Messina, who ran Obama's campaign, was asked about this recently, and Ian Sams, who runs Kamala's campaign, was also asked about this recently on Fox. I want you to take a listen to what they're saying. Messina's making the point that she's lost a lot of the core constituency that was favoring Joe Biden, a lot of older white voters in the middle of the country. It's something Nate Silver has picked up on as well. And while she definitely has picked up a new crowd, so to speak, you know, if you lose the old ones, you don't have much. Here he is.
Was on our show yesterday. Pennsylvania, important state. Obviously, you got to have that in your column if you want to get to 270. This is what he said about vulnerabilities for the Harris campaign with older white voters, and we were talking in particular about those retirees. Watch.
Part of her struggle right now is these older white voters, where Joe Biden was doing better than she is right now. So she's got to address this, and she did yesterday in her announcement. But you're on to one of the challenges of the election for her, which is these older white voters that love Joe Biden and are still waiting to figure out what to do in this election.
And they haven't heard from her. And I know that she did the speech in New Hampshire, but the President Trump, for all the interviews that he's done, he's willing to take questions, everything. Is it a risk to put all your chips on one debate when she hasn't really been able to do any sort of Q&A with anybody except for in debate prep?
Well, I reject that. She sat down with Dana Bash for a long interview on CNN that aired.
One interview in 47 days.
For a whopping 16 minutes.
You know, I know you guys are just now paying attention to her now that she's the presidential candidate, but she's done about 90 interviews this year as the vice president, and people maybe weren't paying attention or listening. She's taken questions from reporters on the campaign trail so far in this campaign, people who are covering her every single day. She's going to do more interviews and talk with the press more and take more reporter questions. Of course she's going to do that.
Good for Dana for calling him out. Look, he's trying to spin this, but the American people are like, yeah, we haven't heard from her other than a few canned speeches on the campaign trail. And when I say canned, I mean canned. Take a look.
It's good to be back in Pennsylvania. It really is good to be back in Wisconsin. It is so good to be back in Michigan. I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I know Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type.
Ooh, and I haven't even gotten, ladies and gentlemen, I have not even gotten, hang on, let's make sure, yeah, we got our microphone on. I've not even gotten to the, you gotta thank a union member bit, right? Remember that? When she did the speech up north, it was one accent, and then she went to Detroit, and she's in the middle of the country. She kind of developed this like southern drawl. You gotta thank a union member. I mean, who is Kamala Harris other than a prompter reader? You know what? I don't even read a prompter on this show. There is no prompter. There is no script. We're just going, okay? Like maybe she should do this and kind of pick up a few tips about how to speak along the way. The problem, unfortunately for her as well, is the fact that, you know, she's been there for 3.5 years. Been there, seen that, done that. And this is something that the New York Times is right to point out. Harris's debate challenge, pushing ahead without leaving Biden behind. That is the headline today. And they're right. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And this is exactly why they should have primaried the guy way back when. You know what? They should have actually put up a good old-fashioned race, and then you would have had a winner that would have said, hey, you know what, I'm not going to do what Biden did, and I'm not going to do what Trump's going to do. I am my own person instead. Instead, they orchestrated this. You got to admit. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think it was like an option, right? They had some optionality. They threw him to the wolves there in the debate, and they're like, okay, if you can manage this, Biden, you're going to stay in. And if you can't, and if you fall flat on your you know what, then, well, we're going to take over. And they took over indeed. They put her in. But now you just have repetition of the same. And if America actually does want change, and I think they do, then you're not going to vote for the exact same person that got you in this mess to begin with.